Did Andrew Friedman blow it at the deadline? That's coming up next on Locked On Dodgers.
You are Locked On Dodgers, your daily Los Angeles Dodgers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Dodgers. My name is Travis Rogers. It's spelled just like Dodgers. You can follow me on social media at Travis Rogers on both Instagram and Twitter. When I am not hosting Locked On Dodgers, I also host Locked On Rams. And of course, I've got my daily radio show right here in the beautiful city of Los Angeles. Myself and DeMarco Farr, the Trav and DeMarco show, 9 to noon every single day on ESPN 710 a.m. So you can check me out in both of those places. Been covering LA sports, this is hard to say, for 30 years. So thanks for making us a part of your day every day. Locked On Dodgers, free and available wherever you get your podcasts. And today's pod, of course, is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy Transfusion. Go to 5hourenergy.com today and use the promo code LOCKEDONGOLF to receive 20% off of your first order, only valid through September 30th. Order transfusion-flavored 5 Hour Energy shots today. All right, here's what we got coming up on the show today. I'm going to go through the bullpen options and try to rank them to the best of my ability. We might have to start at like ninth best option and then go down from there because boy, oh boy, are they struggling in that bullpen. And of course, the big series coming up with the Padres this weekend. The Dodgers in second place for the first time since, I'd have to check my notes to be exactly right, but I think back in the 1980s, it felt like this. It's been a very long time since they've been looking up exclusively at the San Diego Padres. But let's get right into this. The Dodgers, like I just mentioned, have fallen out of first place. And in fact, I do know the number. This is the first time the Padres have been in first place by themselves this late in the season since 2010. We know that the Dodgers did not win the division once in the last 12 years, but that was a season in which they won 105 games. So this is a little bit different. The Dodgers are 12-21 in their last 33 games. Since the start of that stretch, they have given back 10 games in the National League West. They had a 9-game lead, and now they are 1 game behind the San Diego Padres. To give up 10 games in the span of 33 games played is not easy to do, and 2 things had to happen at the same time. The Dodgers needed to go like this, race to the bottom. The Padres needed to go like that and get hot at the right time, and both of those things have happened. And the question is, did Andrew Friedman create this? Now, let's start with the very good news. Andrew Friedman, I believe, has earned more goodwill, rightfully so, than just about any executive that I can remember in this town since Jerry West was running the LA Lakers. That Jerry West had such an unbelievable run that no matter what he did, Laker fans, LA sports fans would say, all right, let's see how this works out. Even if on the surface, it really didn't make sense that Jerry West did it. It's like, okay, let's wait and see how this plays out because he's right way more often than he's wrong. I think the same is true of Andrew Friedman, that Andrew Friedman has been right so frequently and made so many good deals and acquired so many star players that he has earned the benefit of the doubt when it comes to him doing something. That it isn't a matter of the second that, oh, what have we done here? I can't believe he let go of this guy. I can't believe he paid for that guy. That it has borne fruit so frequently that everybody goes, okay, let's see what happens next. This most recent trade deadline, which what would we talk about? 15 days ago, the last couple of weeks, July 31st, the Major League Baseball trade deadline. Since that deadline, the Dodgers have gone nowhere and the Padres have gotten very hot. We know what the Padres did, right? The Padres go out there and get a bevy of players at the deadline, all of whom, it seems, have made a positive impact. Nobody more so than Mason Miller, who they went and got from the A's. With the exception of 1 game, Mason Miller has been lights out in their bullpen, bolstering what was already a strength of this team. The Padres had a good bullpen before the deadline. They had a virtually bulletproof bullpen after the deadline, right? When you're talking about what they have down there now, they've done what the Dodgers and some other very good teams over the last several decades have done. They've shortened that game. So if the Padres have the lead after maybe even the 6th inning, That is an incredibly uphill climb to try to get hits off of Mason Miller, Suarez, Adam. There's just a bunch of guys that they can throw at you. That's a big challenge. The Dodgers in the bullpen? Yeah. Brock Stewart was the addition right there. Brock Stewart currently unavailable, dealing with an arm injury. Brock Stewart, who while he was here pitching for the Dodgers as briefly as that was, let as many guys get on base as he let go back to the dugout. Faced 20 guys, 9 of them reached base. Not good. You look at what else the Padres were able to do. They go out and get not 1 or 2, but they get a handful of guys. They get Ryan O'Hearn, they get Ramon Laureano, and they get Freddie Fermin. They fixed both their bench depth, they fixed their catching problem, and this is a team that now has a very complete roster. The Dodgers move, Alex Call. Okay. The Dodgers have all sorts of problems now. Some of these are explainable through injuries. Tommy Edman unavailable. Kike Hernandez unavailable. Haesung Kim unavailable because of injuries. But you look at what the Dodgers are running out there in the outfield right now, and it does not fill you with a great deal of confidence, whether it is Call, whether it is, of course, Michael Conforto, who we've spent a lot of time talking about here. And the Dodgers sat tight. Now, we don't know exactly what the asking price was for some of these players. We don't know exactly what the asking price was for, let's say, Stephen Kwan of the Cleveland Guardians, a name that you heard talked about here on this podcast and around Major League Baseball a lot. A player that would have fixed a number of your problems, a guy that would have helped your offense dramatically, a guy who would have been able to slot right in the left field, getting Michael Conforto off the field, and a guy that had some player control remaining in his initial major league deal. Okay, these are very positive things. Now, not knowing what the asking price was makes this a little bit difficult to say, well, they should have done it. We don't know what they're asking. For instance, I use this analogy on my radio show a lot. Stephen Kwan is a really good player, but if they're asking Rolls-Royce prices for a reliable Honda Accord, is that a good deal? A Honda Accord's a good car, right? It's going to run for a long time. You can drive it back and forth to work every day, but you want to pay a Rolls-Royce sticker price for it? I don't know. Now, again, let me say it one more time. I don't know what the asking price was, and if it was ridiculously high, I understand the impulse to walk away. However, what the Dodgers did not do is try to maximize their moment, and this is what I mean by that. Shohei Ohtani is exceptionally likely to win another National League MVP. He's about to go 2 for 2 for you since you acquired him in free agency a couple of years ago. He is quite possibly one of the great players of all time. He is unquestionably the best player in baseball right now. He won't always be that. I believe that Shohei Ohtani's career arc will slide very gracefully into the second half of his career. He is peak prime right now. Nobody stays there forever. You start to tail off. Injuries start to accumulate. Age, weight, all of these things they get everybody, right? Father Time undefeated. We all know the analogy. It hasn't got him yet, which in my opinion means that when you have him like this, you need to move heaven and earth to try to maximize the opportunities that you have to win the World Series. Right now, the Dodgers are the favorites to win the World Series every year that Shohei Ohtani is going to play like this. The Dodgers still have an incredibly deep team with Freddie Freeman. Mookie Betts is starting to come back to life. You got Will Smith, who is playing at an all-star level. You've got Max Muncy, who's a 30 home run bat when he's healthy. You've got some really productive pieces. You've got a starting rotation that is absolutely fantastic. Why not go for it? Why not go all in to maximize the Ohtani time, to maximize what you have left with a player like Freddie Freeman, to maximize what remains of Mookie Betts' prime, and try to front load World Series titles before these guys get very expensive, very old, and you start to have to replace them? Because what's coming after this? Who knows, right? My crystal ball's broken just like everybody else's. I have no idea. That the Dodgers sat tight the way that they did, that the Dodgers decided that Michael Conforto and a rotating cast of characters to try to replace him, a bullpen that is hemorrhaging wins right now with, yes, I'm well aware of the options that are not here right now that are currently on the IL or rehabbing in Oklahoma City. But as we look at it here on August 15th, is really remarkably thin. and they didn't really make a huge effort to try to fix it. Andrew Friedman has earned the benefit of the doubt of saying, okay, if he didn't like it, let's see what happens next. But if the Dodgers cannot get past the Padres and don't win the division, if the Dodgers go into a wild card and get knocked out early, if the Dodgers go up against the San Diego Padres in the postseason and get clipped because their bullpen is better than the Dodger bullpen, or whether that's the Mets or whether that's the Phillies or whether that's the Milwaukee Brewers or the Chicago Cubs, time will tell. But if they just ran this back thinking that what we have coming back will be good enough, and it's not, I think it's one of the first times in the Andrew Friedman era you can look at it and say, yeah, they missed an opportunity, because Shohei Ohtani will not always be this. He is right now. And part of the reason he deferred that $8 trillion that he was getting was so that you could go do some of this. And I understand that the price of play in this particular instance wasn't cash. It was more prospects, more than likely. Who knows, right? Quality major leaguers today, to me, are always more valuable than what might be down the road. So there you go. Did he miss it? I think he might have. We'll see. Those guys better come back, and they better be awfully good along the way, which brings me to what I want to get into coming up next on Locked On Dodgers. The options in the bullpen ranked as they are right now. That's coming up next on Locked On Dodgers. It is time to fuel up and turn it up with 5-Hour Energy Transfusion. It brings the bold grape, ginger, and lime flavor of your favorite golf drink, minus the alcohol, into a quick, energizing shot. So whether you're sinking birdies or just hanging out and having a great time with your friends, this one's a hole-in-one for your energy game. Let's be honest, some days on the course or off of it, you just need that little extra boost to stay sharp and stay energized, right? So we've always done this thing, right? You're out on the golf course, you make these crazy bets, all of these unbelievable, I can get up and down from behind this tree or over this pond or whatever it is, and they absolutely tank it, and you're laughing and they're absolutely down in the dumps. Well, how about a little 5-hour energy shot, right? Let's see them go down. Let's see them get back up there. You can't make that shot. Take this shot. Golf is all about good times with good people, good flavors, and of course, the grape ginger lime flavor that gets you the best parts of your clubhouse go-to without chasing down that beverage cart. If you go to 5hourenergy.com today, that is the number 5hourenergy.com, you can use the promo code LOCKEDONGOLF to receive 20% off of your order. This offer is only valid until September 30th on one order and cannot be used with other promotions. The code is not good on subscription orders. So whether you are meeting up with your buddies or trying to turn 18 into 36, get the energizing boost you need to power through. Order transfusion flavored 5-hour energy shots today. Moving straight ahead on Locked On Dodgers. Again, thanks for making us your first listen every single day. Locked On Dodgers, free and available wherever you get your podcast. Make sure you subscribe so you get it in your inbox every single day. You can rate and review us as well. Always appreciate that. And of course, if you want to check us out on YouTube, that is a great way to do it as well. We'll read your comments. Harry loves to read your comments. He'll get your name in there at some point or another for sure. Harry will be back with us on Monday as well, breaking down that entire Padres series. So let's jump into this. Let's talk a little bit about where we are heading into that Padres series, specifically where we are in the bullpen. The Dodgers are currently on a 4-game losing streak, which quite frankly, of those 4 games, only one of them, I don't think that you can lay directly at the feet of the Dodger bullpen, right? The middle game of the the opening game of the Angel series was the one game that the Angels jumped out to a 6-0 lead. The Dodgers made a little bit of noise late in the game, but they never really threatened to come back in any sort of way. And that was more of a problem with the offense going quiet for most of that night and starting pitching, not really putting them in a position to win that game. The bullpen didn't really have much to do with that. But you go back to Sunday, Alex Vezina, Blake Tryan against Toronto, not good. You go to the other 2 games in the Angel series, you could really take your pick of guys, maybe minus Justin Robleski, who had a bad night in that series, and you wouldn't be wrong. It felt like just about everybody that stepped onto the mound at Angel Stadium had a bad run. Now, I'm going to kind of go through the guys in the Dodger bullpen as currently constructed and tell you where my level of confidence is for each one of these guys along the way and talk about who I would like to see come through this. And before we start, I want to take Justin Robleski and kind of slide him off to the side. I'm not going to include him in this because his role in the bullpen is different than every other guy's role in the bullpen right now. He's basically there as a bridge guy for Shohei Ohtani, a long guy in any given situation, theoretically, and not really a player who's being asked to get the final 6 or 3 outs of the game, or maybe even one of the final 9 outs of the game in that 7th inning. So I'm going to put him in a separate category. I think everybody else in the Dodger bullpen, as we sit here heading into the Padres series, could be called on to get the biggest outs of the game because none of them have really separated themselves from the pack as the guy that you trust. And I was thinking about this, like when Dave Roberts walks out to the mound to make a pitching change, and all of a sudden you look down to the bullpen to see who's going to come in next, who are you hoping comes out of that pen? Who are you feeling like, all right, here we go. This feels great. I love this. This is a guy that I'm excited to see. Let me use an example. Last year, when the bullpen gate swung open and Evan Phillips came out, how did you feel? Pretty darn good, right? When the bullpen gate last season swung open and Michael Kopech came out, how did you feel? Pretty darn good. Same thing for Blake Tryan, same thing for Alex Vezia, same thing for Anthony Banda. All these guys last year, it's like, yeah, let's go. There were a lot of options that made you feel like, yeah, they're going to get out of this, or at the very least, they're going to minimize the damage and they're going to not give up the lead. They might give up a run here or there, but everything feels pretty good. Same question, 2025 Dodgers, late August, mid-August. How do you feel about that? Right. Let's go through this. Right now, let's say you got a 1-run lead against San Diego, and it's the 8th inning, and you know that you got to get Machado, Tatis, and these Arise. You got to get these guys out in the last, this is the last time you're going to face them. If you can get them down, you're very likely to win the game. Who are you hoping comes out of that pen? Yeah, not a great answer there, is there? Not right now. Not right now. I believe that if you said to me, Trav, you have to pick a guy to get the last 3 outs. If you win this game, everything turns and it's off to the races. Everything gets fixed. Who is your pick right now? I believe I'd choose Blake Tryan. I still think that he is, out of the guys that are currently available, he's your best bet. And there's 2 reasons. Number one, Blake Tryan has been through this a bunch of times. Blake Tryan has pitched in big games. Blake Tryan has had success in big games. And I say this, and this is one of my favorite compliments to give guys. And I'm not talking about like literal fear, but I'm talking about competitive fear or competitive uncertainty. Blake Tryan is not scared. Blake Tryan is not out there thinking, I don't know if I can do this or not, man. That's Manny Machado up there. I don't know, man. He is, if I execute my pitches, I'm going to get this guy out. I believe that he believes that. So that's number one, as far as why Tryan would be my first choice coming out of the pen in a tight situation. Number 2 is his stuff is still his stuff. There's a reason there's a commercial running during Dodger games about him throwing video game pitches, because he does, right? That when he executes his pitches, that he's got one that cuts into right-handers, he's got another one that cuts away from right-handers, and he throws about 98 miles an hour. Good luck. Good blanking luck with that. The problem is with him of late, since he's come back off the IL this season, is that he's not executing those pitches as regularly as he has before. He's not able to put guys away the way that he has before. He isn't in the strike zone as frequently as he has been before, which means he's got to work more towards the middle of the plate than he has. There's more traffic on the bases. So when a hit does happen, there's more damage being done. And as we saw against Toronto, he threw a couple of spinners in the middle of the plate that did nothing, that got put into the seats. Dodgers ultimately lose that game. He has really struggled since coming back. I'm hoping it's a rust issue. I'm hoping it's an execution issue, that he goes back to what we've seen from him for many years here now at Dodger Stadium, and he turns back into Blake Tryan. And that's why he would still be my first choice. If the Dodgers are going to win the World Series or make a run at the World Series, that almost has to happen. Without that happening, good luck. Right? So let's move on from Blake Tryan. Who's number 2? Today, right now, as we sit here, you know who I think my second choice would be? Is like, let's just hope that this happens. And again, this whole conversation is predicated on there not being a ton of great options right now. And that's why the second name might kind of, whoa, really? Him? Edgardo Henriquez. He throws 103 miles an hour. Now, I understand that sometimes that 103 miles an hour is in the dirt. Sometimes it's, neck high. Sometimes it's outside, inside, and maybe he doesn't know exactly where it is. And perhaps even more troubling, sometimes it cuts the plate in half, belt high, which, as we've seen from some guys over the course of the last night or two, as fast as 103 is, they can handle it if it's over the middle of the plate. But I will take Edgardo Henriquez for the simple fact that it is 103, for the simple fact that there is a ton of swing and miss in his game. And I don't know if anyone else coming out of that pen right now has the potential to have a big inning the way that he might. So I'm going to put him at number 2. I want to take Alex Vezia, Anthony Banda, Dreyer, Kasparius, and everybody else, and just say at this point, Diaz, all of them. Good luck. I really think, depending on left, right, depending on this, that, and the next thing, I don't know if there is a huge difference between any of those players right now. I think they are all in the deep end of the pool. I think they are all struggling with confidence. I think they're all struggling with where they are right now. Maybe I might elevate Dreyer slightly out of that. I think he's been marginally better than some of the other guys. But again, the lack of experience in those really big roles it is a real thing. That's something that if I were Dave Roberts and Andrew Friedman, I would be concerned about right there. We've seen Kasparius have good moments. We saw Alex Vezia have a terrific, maybe first 2/3 of the season. It looks like he's running on fumes, and he is not the pitcher that he has been of late. The home run balls, not being able to locate the strike zone. So Alex Vezia, I think, who was probably at the top of this list 2 weeks ago, or at least a week ago, is kind of in the pack with everybody else. The point of this exercise is to show that there are not a bunch of great. I think this is interesting that Dave Roberts is not getting a ton of heat on all of this, because Dodger fans know it's like there aren't. It's not the wrong choice. It's that there isn't a good choice right now. Now, here's the good news: Kirby Yates, Tanner Scott, Michael Kopech. Hopefully they're all back. Hopefully they're all firing on all cylinders. Hopefully they look like the best versions of themselves. And now all of a sudden, all those names that we just talked about, other than Blake Tryan, maybe Alex Vezia, I think you can start to feel a lot better about that, knowing that those guys can do the job that you brought them here to do in the first place. So cross your fingers that they come back and look like the best version of themselves. All right, coming up next, series against the Padres. We know what happened last time. A lot of people getting hit with a lot of pitches. We're going to keep doing that. That's coming up next on Locked On Dodgers. Most people can't name all of their financial accounts or even what they're worth, whether it's 401ks, properties, or investments. And when you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. That's why there's Monarch Money. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or on your phone. And Monarch does the heavy lifting for you. You can link all your accounts in just minutes, see clear data visuals, get smart categorization of your spending, and finally feel in control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet. One of the things I love about Monarch Money is it kind of puts everything right there in front of you. You can't miss things that, wait, I'm spending that much on subscriptions. I'm putting that much on streaming services, that much on takeout, on delivery services. It just kind of gives you an idea of the full picture as well. So don't let this financial opportunity slip through the cracks, right? Use the code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off of your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with the code LOCKEDONMLB. Moving ahead on Locked On Dodgers, give us a like, give us a subscription. Make sure that you are all there so you can get all your Dodger talk every single day. Plus, don't forget, after each and every game, we got our postcast with Pete Fox. Pete does a great job, so make sure that you're checking those out right after each and every game as well. So let's go to this next. Let's talk about what happened the last time the Padres and Dodgers ran into each other. It got pretty chippy pretty fast, and it started the way that a lot of these things tend to, which is the Dodgers hitting Fernando Tatis Jr. with a pitch. They hit him a lot. Now, it's funny. On my radio show, 710 ESPN, 9 to noon, right here on ESPN LA. Now, We did my radio show yesterday on location. My pal Oral Hershiser brought a bunch of his pals, and Steven Nelson, Dodger broadcaster Steven Nelson, was among the group. And I asked him the question, do you think we're going to see more of that? You know, the Dodgers hitting Tatis, the Padres hitting Ohtani, and just this tit for tat that we've seen over the last series. We remember Mike Schilt, Dave Roberts getting into each other nose to nose behind home plate. That was obviously a very emotional situation. And I asked Steven Nelson, do you think we will see the continuation of this? Or because both of these teams are competing to win the division, both of these teams are jockeying for position in the postseason, does that stuff kind of take a back seat to winning the game on any given night? Now, look, sometimes games get out of control. Sometimes the score gets lopsided. Sometimes there are perfect situations. 2 out, nobody on. Here comes the guy that you want to make a point with, and you got a 5-run lead, or you're 5 runs in the hole. It's the late innings, and you know what? Now's the time to make my point. Those opportunities always come around. Will they take those opportunities? Or look, we can't afford suspensions. We can't afford injuries. We can't afford to have one of our guys take one. So we're going to stand down. I asked Steven Nelson that, and he thought, yeah, I don't know, man. These two teams kind of, you know, there's a lot of heat between these two teams, and Fernando Tatis kind of dives into pitches, and he maybe doesn't see the ball all that well, and this is something that he would not be surprised to see continue. I agree with him. I think that this is really fascinating, and quite frankly, fun to watch as a baseball fan, that these two teams have real heat. You know, there aren't a ton of rivalries in Major League Baseball right now that extend beyond we want to win the division, they want to win the division. This is that for sure, but it's also, I don't like them. I don't like him, and specifically Fernando Tatis Jr., specifically Manny Machado. You know, the Dodgers have this, and look, I say this as a member of this family, as a member of the Dodger fan family. There's a certain, we got this. We're always good. We've been in this forever and ever. This is not a big deal. This is regular season nonsense. We'll see you in October. That I'm sure grates Padre fans in a real way. That I'm sure grates Padre players in a real way. The Padres have this, they think they win the World Series every time that they beat the Dodgers once. It was Manny Machado saying that, you know, if we want to hit somebody on your team, why would we hit Andy Pajes when you got real players on your team? Will Smith, going back a couple of years ago, dude, Profar, we're not throwing at you. I mean, who are you? Really good stuff there, really heat. And you can't just decide not to have heat on any given night. I really do think there's a chance that this escalates. Now, it's not going to come first. It's not going to be we're going to try to put one in Fernando Tatis's back to open the game. We're going to try to win the game. We're going to try to get back into first place. We're going to try to win the series. We're going to try to win the division. But opportunities do arise occasionally. Opportunities to make sure that everybody knows what's up are there. Ohtani turned the temperature down a lot after he took one towards the end of the series. He walked over, he's shaking hands. It's good. Everybody stay in the dugout. No problem. No problem. They hit him again. It might be World War III. And quite frankly, I don't want Shohei to get hit, obviously, but if somebody gets hit and somebody takes offense to it and dugout's empty and Clayton Kershaw's coming over the rail and keeps coming this time as opposed to coming over the rail and jumping back over because Ohtani waved him off, let's go. It's going to be a great series. We'll be here for you on Monday, breaking it all down, going over the series of the Dodgers back in first place. Did they tie in first place? Are they further behind in second place? What does it all mean? We got you covered on Monday on Locked On Dodgers. Thanks for making us, I should say, your first listen every day. For your second listen, find the all-new Locked On MLB Game Night, every game, every night until a World Series champion is crowned. Get your local analysis on a national scale. Find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcasts. I'm Travis Rogers. We'll see you on Monday, and keep it Dodger Blue.